the thing. If you're going to be credible, you take an oath, right? You take an oath to do the best for your people, to represent your people. The reality is, these folks are not representing the people. Our congressmen and women are representing special interest groups. And those special interest groups may be uh, China, they may be the military industrial complex, they may be anyone and everyone but who we want them to represent. The LGBT community. Do you realize and recognize that if we were trying to get civil rights legislation passed today, we probably couldn't, because people aren't being paid. See, in the old days, the lobbyists were a lot more subtle about what they did. They had a lot less money to spend. Today, these people are spending money like drunken sailors. In fact, many people call them drunken sailors. I'm opening up telephone lines. That's what you hear right now. So
Welcome back, host. Have a great
we'll have
show.
a great show. And but you need to understand that the American people drive what's going on, not Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi today, she refuses to sit down and negotiate. She refuses to sit down and negotiate with Mnuchin. She refuses to negotiate with Mitch McConnell, and she hates talking to President Donald Trump. So Trump said, "Hey, wait a minute. I know how to deal with this. We're going to break this bill up. You want to send me a bill that has hundreds of thousands of dollars, billions of dollars. Let me correct that, because tens of billion. I think the governor here in Illinois asked, with his dumb ass, asked for anywhere from 5 billion to 500 billion to get the state back on track. 5 to 500 billion. That's a big difference. 5 billion to 500 billion. This is a state that has been out of control. This is a state who pays state workers more money than the private sector. When did going for work for the government, you make more money than working in the private sector? Remember, the scales used to be, you go to work for the government for less money, but you're guaranteed a pension for life. So today, this is how the government plays it. Oh, we can't hire quality people if we don't pay them private sector wages. That's not true. Supply and demand. It's weighing the good with the bad. It's weighing the benefits and the non-benefits. In the private sector, your salary and your pay fluctuates, but you're not guaranteed a pension anymore. So you have a 401k. And that may be predicated in stock. It may be predicated in your contributions. It may be met by employer contributions. However, here in Illinois, we have refused to fund the pensions because we don't have the money, because we're paying so much out in salaries. So here in Chicago, it's the same thing. City of Chicago pension plans all in the dumps. A company I work with, we came up with a program called EPIC. And EPIC, or EPOC, is some people pronounce it EPOC, EPOCH. Now, EPIC was based on the fact that we would insure government employees' lives for 100 mil, 200 mil, whatever. And we'd pay for it. We'd finance that. And when the person would die, some of the money would come to the family, 20,000 or so. Say if you put a life insurance policy on for 100 grand, give 20 to the family. The rest goes back to the state and the state coffers. Okay. Not a lot of money, but it adds up, because people die every year. Attrition. Okay. People die. You're going to die. And do you know that how it wound up is kind of like the Senate and the House? When you get one piece in place, the other piece disappears. So when we get one municipality or one city or state to agree to let us insure their employees, the insurance company would fail. And then when we get the insurance company that was ready to write these people, we couldn't find a state or city government or municipality to let us insure their people. So we could never pull it off. We could never get it together. However, it was a solution. That not a costly solution, didn't cost the government anything. We had financiers to pay the premiums. And of course, they would be repaid out of the death benefit also. So it was a win-win for everyone. But they start talking about morality, the moral, when they're stealing every day. But you always have to do what's right for clients, especially in the business I'm in the insurance business. You always do what's best for clients. So if there are insurance policies out there, insurance plans out there that are better than other insurance plans and policies, then the client, technically, ethically, by the state law, you do what's best for the client, not what's best for the insurance agent or commission or a company. You do what's best for the client. And that way you can live with yourself, regardless of what happens. And that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do as government employees. That's what we need to do as citizens. When you go out to vote in a couple of weeks, and it's right around the corner, November 3rd is like 3 weeks away. For those of you who haven't made up your mind, I want to remind you of this. Before Donald Trump came into office, domestically, we had thousands of people crashing our border, demanding jobs, demanding citizenship, demanding care, demanding food, demanding housing. Like we're punks. And let me say this to you. So if you have any question about that, Democrats were withering to them. Why? Because they could see votes. Because poor people supposedly vote for Democrats because Democrats really care for them. I don't care if we get another legal or illegal immigrant in this country, unless, of course, they're contributing to our country. And poor, ignorant people aren't contributing to our country. We have enough of those here already. And some of them actually think they're educated. Oh, man, I see you guys out there on YouTube. Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up, guys? And ladies, what's up? What's going on? You know, we're kicking it here. We're having fun. We're talking about what it would be like if we had Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. I like Camilla. I've known Camilla and I met Camilla years ago. I don't really know her. I met her years ago when she was young and fine and going with Willie Brown, who at that time was the Speaker of the House in California, the most powerful man in the country besides the President of the United States. Because at the end of the day, California is so big and its economy is so huge. It would be one of the top 10 economies in the world if it were a separate state. That's how big we are as Americans. Just we have one state that would qualify as the 10th in the top 10 largest economies in the world. That's California. And then let's throw in Texas. Let's throw in Michigan. Let's throw in Illinois. Let's throw in Ohio, Pennsylvania. All, GDPs that exceed most countries. Okay. But Joe Biden and Barack Obama, they want to let illegal immigrants in. And these people bring diseases. I've talked about this forever. Let's talk about the diseases that your kids are getting in schools because they're in school with children who haven't been inoculated or vaccinated. Smallpox, Depi fever, dingy fever is coming back. Measles is coming back. Why? And nobody wants to say, well, it's because we have these people coming here from south of the border who've never been vaccinated. That's exactly right. But see, pharmaceutical companies do what? They get rich. They make money because these illegals are here making people sick. Polio. We'd eliminated polio. Polio rears its head in America. Look it up. I'll look it up. I'll look it up for you. This, you cannot argue, people. These are things that go on all of the time. Polio. Outbreak. Let's look at this. Polio outbreak in the U.S. I mean, this is serious. CDC won't talk about it because what? It makes the Democrats look bad because they let these people into our country. Oh man. See, the United States had been polio free since 1979. But when these people started coming into this country, an epidemic broke out. Nobody wants to talk about it, like they don't want to talk about the epidemic of HIV and AIDS, because they've, the people who participate in that behavior are doing so without safe sex. And so you're supposed to take this drug, and you're not supposed to shed the HIV virus. And I just saw a commercial on that this morning. I couldn't even look at it. It's so disgusting. And these people have just horrible, horrible epidemics of HIV and STDs. And nobody's talking about it. Oh, they're so normal. Oh, they're just so queer and so great. It's just disgusting. Disgusting. A black person can't buy a break, but a queer is loved and worshipped. How about that? And black people run around with their ignorance dealing with this madness. So, Leah, let me talk about Black Lives Matter in a minute. But let's get back to Joe Biden and his administration. We had people crashing the border. Thousands, not a few hundred, thousands of people coming to our border saying, we want to be American citizens. We are coming here. Where you going to take us? And then the dreamers who are saying, yes, you're going to take, hold on, wait a minute. You came here illegally, kids. Blame your parents. You don't become a ward of the state. You don't become a ward of the federal government. Your parents are supposed to take care of you. You're a minor. When your parents get deported, you go with your damn parents. You don't stick around here. See, this is because we have become a society that is predicated on identity politics. And why do we have identity politics? All because the biggest group that's identified in America, the only group in America that's been codified out of the American dream, codified, I should say, out of the American dream, has been Black Americans, not gay Americans, not Latina Americans, but Black Americans. That's why you have the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. People of African descent, not Latina descent, not European descent, not Asian descent, but African descent. Hello. And people still don't want to deal with that today in 2020. We fought a war that started in 1861, lasted 4 years, killed almost 650,000 Americans. That's on the battlefield. When you talk about all the people who died from wounds who came home. I visited the battlefield of Antietam about 10 years ago. And I tell you, the ghosts of Antietam are still there. The feeling of Antietam is still there. To think that these men went out and fought for our freedom, fought to keep the Union united, all because of what? Slavery. The Union was fought over slavery, a way of life. What kind of life did the slaves have? People don't care. And then you have people go, oh my God, my great grandfather was a traitor. Yeah, he was a traitor. He wasn't a rebel, was not for the Union, or did believe in the stars and stripes, believe in the cross and bars. Traitor. In fact, these people had to sign warrants that said that they were not going to that they were going to become American citizens again and not rebel against the Union. This thing is serious. This voting thing is serious. Joe Biden selling to the Chinese. Lord have mercy. Joe Biden is bought and paid for by the Chinese. This whole thing about the Russian conspiracy. We now know, because President Trump declassified the information. We now know that Hillary Clinton colluded to create this Russian collusion issue, destroy a great American patriot, Michael Flynn, bankrupt him to save her own skin. A woman who is obviously character challenged. Hillary's always been character challenged, though. This is a woman who was not kicked off the Watergate legal team but she was relegated to sitting on the sidelines and not doing any work because her work was untrustworthy. And the guy who fired her, he said, I couldn't fire her from the job, but we didn't give her anything to do. She had no input into our process. That's what he said, not me. Now, when Trump declassified this Russian collusion stuff, and yesterday Brennan came on and said, well, this is purely political. That's what Brennan had the nerve to say. Brennan had the nerve to say this is purely political. The fact that he briefed President Obama on the fact that Hillary Clinton was creating a false and fake narrative to mislead the American people. And then he comes on television and says, well, it's legal. What did he say? It was campaigning. Well, when he was testifying before Congress, he was saying that he thought maybe the president had committed treason and how intelligence agencies could not trust President Trump. Did he think we forgot that? He said that intelligence agencies could not trust Donald Trump. Chuck Schumer said the president needs to be careful because the intelligence agencies can make his life miserable. They had all colluded and planned this. They hoped that Hillary won because she could squash it all. That's why when Hillary won and she said to President Obama, I'm sorry, everybody wondered, what the hell did that mean? I'm sorry. You lost. Okay. I'm sorry. Well, she's sorry because everything starts to unravel. Everybody gets exposed because the president of the United States is not Hillary Clinton, and she can't shut down these investigations. And she had people who are working with her in what they call it, the deep state. I don't think it's so deep. It's shallow, actually. These are people who want to overturn our country, turn our country into a cesspool, into a fake nation that's governed by liberal attitudes and liberal people. I don't particularly like liberals. I don't particularly like Democrats. I think they're racist, and black people are just stupid. That's why they're Democrats. I used to say politically unsophisticated, but I can tell you this, more black people are becoming sophisticated about politics, and that's why they're voting for Donald Trump. And I have to applaud them. But I was on a panel. It's out on YouTube. It's called Ink Spot. I was out on a panel, and I'm talking to people who are PhDs, who are attorneys, and they have no clue about what's really going on. They're talking about, I'm a Democrat to what? You're supporting a man who said he did not want to send his children to racial jungles. You're talking about a man who took a few crumbs of funding from DC school children who could go to better schools, who could go to charter schools, who could go to Sidwell Friends where Barack Obama's kids went, and the Clinton's kids went, Chelsea went, and the Bush girls had gone. And Joe Biden would deny these black kids in Washington, D.C. that experience because he feels that they're not worth it. Why are we spending $17 million on these charter schools for D.C. kids? That's a drop in the bucket. That's not even a rounding error in our budget, but it means the world to these DC children. Now tell me, is something wrong with me for thinking that way? I mean, these are just the facts. Joe Biden has always been a racist. When I first heard about Joe Biden, he was, I saw him on the Senate floor commiserating with and talking about how he was against school busing. Well, my particular city, Pontiac, Michigan, was the epicenter of school busing in the in September of 1970. It made Time Magazine's cover. Time Magazine cover. Pontiac, Michigan, busing. These white people did not want black children bused to their schools. And I don't know why. I mean, it's not like there were that many black children in Pontiac. Or, I mean, we had two high schools. I went to the white high school because I lived in that neighborhood. And it was really interesting that teachers actually thought, and they used to say, I've had white teachers and black teachers, the couple that we had a couple of black teachers that we petitioned for and got, that, well, why do you always hang with the white kids? Well, the white kids were my friends. It wasn't hanging with white kids or hanging with. I didn't know the black kids. Didn't know them and didn't care to know them. They were stupid. They weren't in college prep. They didn't believe in books. What they were talking about was getting in panties and getting girls pregnant and smoking some weed. And hey, I wasn't into that crap. I was an athlete. I was a student. I was going to college. I wasn't planning on going to the plant after I graduated. That wasn't my heyday. Going standing in line, getting a job in the plant. My father had worked in the plants for 30 years at that point. And I saw what he did every morning, getting up, going to work at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I loved him for it. And he'd wake me up 4 or 5 in the morning to water the yard. We had a water shortages. So I'd get up in the morning, go out and water the yard. And because we were putting in a new lawn, we moved into a new house. It was all, what do you call it, clay. And we had to put fertilizer over that or soil over that and then grow the what do you call it? Grow the yard. So it was a trip. But I tell you, you will never, ever, ever understand why this guy was against busing. I have no idea why he was against. I can say this to you honestly. I am not a proponent of school busing, and the only reason is I don't believe in busing children into hostile environments and into environments where they're not wanted, they're not nurtured, either academically or emotionally. And I can tell you, being at Pontiac Northern, even though I had friends there who were white and who were black, it was hell every day coming to school. I loved coming to school, but it wasn't always a very pleasant experience. We had school riots, we had race riots, and riots about the way that black children were treated and black students were treated at school. So it was, I got exposed to that real early, but I remember Joe Biden talking about busing, and his busing was right up there on par with George Wallace, Bull Connor, and those guys. It was about race. It wasn't about a better life for ethnicity. And he's talking. Joe Biden is a man, by the way, who's had 47 years to prove that he's interested in doing something, anything. I mean, Joe, what do you have to prove? Like, the president needs to shut the hell up and let Joe talk and then say, Joe, what have you done for black people in 47 years? Tick, tick. Did you participate in the funding of the African American Museum? Tick, tick. No. Did you push through affirmative action, or did you support PL 9901, which talked about 5% of DOD spending goes to black companies? Tick, tick. No, Joe Biden was more interested in stopping black companies from being successful. That's what he did. And he certainly didn't do anything for the average black family or the average black person, and never has, as most Democrats have not. And so whether it's Carter or Bush, Carter or Clinton, and certainly not Obama, who's probably the most racist president we ever had in recent time. But nobody ever really wants to call him that, but I could put together a great case for that. Man, I tell you, it's amazing. Amazing. Well, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting run. It's going to be an interesting debate tonight. What is Kamala Harris going to talk about? What is she going to say? Here's a woman who withheld evidence that incarcerated black men and white men and Hispanics, put them in jail. She is totally untrustworthy. She's part of that swamp. She's part of the people who feel they know what's best and that they are above the law. They are above the law. Okay? Too bad. 5 things to watch, they say, tonight in the debate between Harris and Biden. Harris and Pence. I don't know what they are, but I'm going to look at them real quick and see what they're talking about, because I want to see what we need to pay attention to. Let's see. Harris and Pence, 5 things we need to pay attention to. You have Donald Trump, who's 74 years old, Joe Biden, who's 77, going on 80. And these people are going to be at the University of Utah. Beautiful campus. Great people there. Spent a little time in Salt Lake City. Beautiful city. Beautiful people. Just very nice people. In fact, whenever we'd go to Utah, my ex-wife would always say, you're just right at home here with these people. You're just in your element. I've always had a good time in Utah, except when the cop pulled a gun on me at the airport in the middle of the afternoon for going 5 miles over in a 5-mile-an-hour zone. It's a true story. But several things that we need to pay attention to. Dana Perino. I have a great picture with Dana when I was in Fox Studios several years ago doing a hit. It was
America
good.
is listening to the Fox News Rundown.
Come on. There you go. Cut off.
Covering highlights.
I'm trying to cut this off.
And top news stories 7 days.
Why is this not cutting off? I hate when this happens. They want to play this. I mean, why do they think they can just take over and, just take over? It's like, hey, we're going to play this regardless of what you want to do. Now, I'm trying to cut it. I've cut it off, not tried to cut it off. Anyway, President Trump is still in isolation, I guess, at the White House, but he's coming out of his COVID adventure. They said, don't expect, though, a repeat of the chaos in Cleveland. In this debate, these folks are going to be very civil, and they're just going to sit down and go at it. And I can tell you that Mike Pence is going to be formidable. He's not going to wilt. He's not a wilting flower. He's going to stand up to Camilla, and he's going to just tout the facts. And when you tout the facts, you always come out ahead in this particular case when you're going up against Joe Biden and Camilla Harris. These are two people who have records that are horrible. So, and these are two people who could become president in the next 4 years. Joe Biden would be, during his term, he'd reach his 80s, and President Trump would reach 78. So, these guys aren't spring chickens, but they're in great shape, both of them. Joe appears to be a little slow, but, hey, I met Joe, ran into Joe over at the Union League Club back in December of last year. He looked good. He looked spry. He was slick, politician, slick, hands as soft as a baby, smile just like it came out of Soldier of Fortune magazine. Great smile, great guy. I like Joe, but I just don't want to be my president. I can't say a lot of bad things about Joe because he really hasn't done anything. He talks about Hunter Biden. Yeah, he and Hunter made a little money. I can attest to that. I wonder if I cut on my recording. Yeah, it's recording. Okay, you guys are out there. You guys haven't said anything today. Okay, my YouTube folks. Hey guys, hello. I'm gonna type in here, hello. Respond back. Okay. So that's where we are today. Tomorrow, though, we're going to have Judge Janine on from Fox. Yeah, Judge Janine. The Judge Janine, my girl. You're going to be on talking about. That's a little hype there. And also, hey, folks, we need to take a quick break. And what we'll do is we'll be right back. And I want to share a little something with you. So stick around.
2, 3, 4. You see that black boy over there running scared. His old man in a bottle. He done quit his 9 to 5. He drank full time, and now he's living in a bottle. See that black boy over there running scared. His old man got a problem, and it's a bad one. He ain't done pawned off damn near everything. His old woman waiting for a bottle. you think it's a crime when time after time after time, people in the bottom, there's people living in the bottom. Listen to me. See that sister, she was fine. She's fine and thinking wine from the bottom.
Okay. She was drinking wine from the bottle. But look, I want to talk to you a little bit about insurance and taking care of yourself, protecting you and your family. Give us a call at 312 667 9111 312 667 9111. Talk to some of our agents about protecting you and your family. And we'll be glad to meet with you, glad to answer any questions you may have about final expense planning, retirement planning, all those good things, mortgage protection. We do it. Okay, I'm going to give you that number again. It's 312 667 9111. Thanks. Hey, look, I want to talk about the Russian collusion. I really do. But I think maybe we should more importantly focus on the scuttling of the stimulus package. I touched on it a little earlier. And that's because it hits us in the pocketbook as Americans. We spend money on everyone else, and it's time we need to spend some money on the American people. You know, I often talk about how, as Americans, American taxpayer dollars rebuilt Europe. We gave millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to Russia in aid. It still give Russia, look at foreign aid contributions, we still give Russia foreign aid. How about that? Even during the Cold War. How stupid is that? Because these schoolboys somehow think that kissing up will make these people turn around and accept us and love us. Did the same thing with China, but Trump jumped in and said, hey, it's over. The gravy train is over, guys. Sorry. And people, oh, we hate Donald Trump. If Donald Trump hadn't stopped the Chinese coming to this country, the travel ban, we would have many more people infected. In fact, the projection by Neil Ferguson of Oxford was that there would be 2.2 million people, Americans, dead. He forecasted there'd be 200,000 dead in the UK. As it turned out, it was about, he revised his numbers to 20,000 dead in the UK, and about, I think in the US, he said it was going to be about 180,000 that would die. So, you know, if you keep counting, if you want to count October to October for the flu season, hey, you can come up with those numbers. But if you count real flu season, you know, we wouldn't have those numbers. It wouldn't be anywhere near what they are. Anyway, but that's the game that people are playing out here, unfortunately. And they're playing with our lives. They're playing with our livelihood. I'm looking at the scuttling of the stimulus package. Donald Trump invites risk for himself and the GOP. Well, I don't think he really invites any risk with himself or the GOP in scuttling the stimulus package, because the stimulus package, everybody realizes, who's paying any attention, who has a pulse, that these Democrat cities and these Democrat states want the U.S. to bail them out, and they're poorly run. Look at New York. Here's a guy who cried wolf all the way, and he doesn't have the class. He doesn't have the character to thank the president for going out on the limb for the great state of New York. The president did something for New York he didn't do for any other state. He sent the hospital ship to New York, set in the harbor, had no patience. He sent thousands of ventilators to New York, the state of New York, because they said they needed them when they had 4,000 sitting in a warehouse that they never used. But they're trying to blame the president. Oh, he could have reacted differently. I was looking at an ad today that I just saw. It's a Biden ad. And the person who does this ad is a man named Tenius Bell. He's a doctor of infectious medicines at UIC. And I'm really perturbed with this man because he lies and says, well, we could be further along and that Joe Biden has a plan. Joe Biden doesn't have a damn plan. Follow the science. You follow the science. You don't follow science. Science goes, several different ways all the time. You don't follow what science? Okay, so we've all agreed that we need to wear masks when we're in each other's company and stay 6 feet away from each other. Now it's 12 feet. That's science. Science is always evolving and growing. That's science. Discoveries are always happening in science. That's science. And the president has been at the forefront, and on top of, he and Pence have been on the top of this coronavirus thing from the beginning. From the beginning. Trump's invites risk for himself and the GOP by scuttling the stimulus package. I don't think so. He said, send me a bill up with just the stimulus package, just the checks for the Americans. Send me that bill. I'll sign it. Smart guy. He's not playing games. He's like, hey, I'm not going to debate all the nuances of the big package you want to pass. Just send me a bill that I can sign to pay Americans, put checks in Americans' pockets. That's what he said. How smart is that? I love it. I love it. If it weren't for this guy, I'm telling you, it'd be bad news for America. I mean, if Hillary had won, people on the border, open borders, China kicking our butt, we'd be a second-rate nation by now because we would effectively had finished what Obama started, which was transferring America from a number one superpower to a number two superpower. That's what their claim was. We're managing the transition of a superpower. As if that was something to be proud of. Help me out with this, people. So, it's going to be interesting what happens tonight. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to the debate. I'll be there, sitting there with my cigar and my Jack Daniels. Now, it's really interesting that vulnerable Republicans are alarmed. And Susan Collins, who I can't stand, she needs to grow a backbone. She can either, she has Democrats who are trying to take her out and Republicans who say, get a backbone, Susan. Get a backbone. And she did. She came through several times for us with the she voted with the president. So I'm happy about that. But she called it a huge mistake and that the president refused to enter into the big stimulus package. He said, no. Just send me this thing in pieces. We'll get it signed off. Now, the reality is Nancy Pelosi is going to take a lot of heat on this thing. She's going to take a lot of heat on this thing. And that's what's at the forefront, that she wanted to pack the bill with a lot of pork. And the president said, no way. No way. I love it. I love it. Can't make this stuff up, people. Can't make it up. I always say that reality is far more interesting than fiction. A buddy of mine was sharing with me that on LaSalle Street here in Chicago, there are a number of retail shops that are up for lease. I hadn't thought about it. I went over there. Every block, they're just people who just picked up and said, I'm out. Now, outside experts aren't so sure about this turn in the economy. But I know one thing, these cities and these downtowns have to reopen. I got a video the other day, an MP4, and it showed the intersection of Madison and Fifth Avenue, which is always busy. I don't care what time of day or night. It's always people. It's all boarded up. There are no people or one or two people. And the guy's just taking his phone and he's just going around the circle. And he's like, hey, Charles, this is Fifth Avenue and Madison at 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm going, wow, nobody. Anyway, the the reality is going to be that we have had a real turn in how we do business in this country and what's important in the country. Yep. Outside experts aren't too sure about the president's upbeat health claims. Please, these outside experts, they haven't examined the president. They hadn't seen his record. They don't know anything about it, but they have all these comments. I mean, who are these people? It's like that doctor that was on TV. Oh, Joe Biden has a plan for coronavirus. What plan does he have? He hadn't said anything. He won't admit that he's going to stack the court when he was asked about that. He hasn't admitted that he's going to go for socialized medicine, one payer, call it the one payer plan or something like single payer insurance. But they exempt Congress out of the single payer initiative. They exempt themselves. It was so great. You'd think that they would be the first ones to sign up, but they're not. They exempted themselves because it's going to be so horrible, like it is in Canada, like it is in the UK. Oh, and the lie they tell us, we have these other industrialized countries these industrialized nations who have socialized medicine and it works. That's a damn lie. And they know it's a damn lie. And if you don't believe me, you can read Sally Pipes, Pipes. She runs the center. What is her research center called? Pacific Research Center. Look it up. She has numerous books out there on this issue, and she's good. She's very good. They used to have Sally on all the time a couple of weeks ago. When we look at states that have traditionally been red, and they say they're blue now or they're purple, like Nevada. Let's look at the New York Times Siena college poll. College, beep, beep, should be a warning. College. Nevada has 48% for Biden, 42% for Trump. Ohio, 45% for Biden, 44% for Trump. You can, I'm sorry, it's Trump. If it's that close, it's Trump. Even if it's double digit, it's probably Trump. Sorry. It's just been, one of those days, one of those times. I was looking at a protest before I came on the air, and it was a backlash between the Orthodox Jews and Cuomo, and Cuomo cracked down on Orthodox Jews and talked about them wearing masks and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's great. I think it's good. But these people they're livid, and they were out in the streets protesting, Jack. They were not playing around. They set fires, and this was last night, and to protest the governor's shutdown rules. So in the New York Times, which is, right there in their backyard, they said that Orthodox, Jewish, and other religious leaders lashed out at Governor Cuomo on Wednesday, I guess today, over new coronavirus restrictions on schools, businesses, and houses of worship as protests broke out in Brooklyn overnight, leading to scenes of chaos and an attack on at least one person. Ooh. So if you're with Black Lives Matter or you're with Antifa, you can go out and protest without masks. But again, I guess Antifa have masks on because they're trying to hide. But none of these other people do. They're out protesting. And you can go do that, but you can't go to church and worship. You can't. All of these attacks against Christianity, all these attacks against what we believe in, because somehow liberals think that they're in control and they have a better mousetrap than we do. This is America. We all have good ideas. But the question becomes, where are Joe Biden's ideas? What is Joe Biden going to do? And the answer is, he doesn't have any. He doesn't have any. The Cuomo, in targeting these Orthodox Jews, these Orthodox synagogues have become basically scenes of life. Very serious. They say that President Trump may relapse and because he refuses to slow down. Unlike Joe Biden, who's been hiding out in the basement and trying to, well, if he hid out in the basement, he wouldn't have caught coronavirus. He should have hid out in the basement like me. Trump comes out and says, hey, I kicked coronavirus in the butt and you can too. Don't be afraid of it. Deal with it. Hey, I mean, how are you going to argue with that? How are you going to argue with that? So, you can't. So tomorrow, we're going to have the illustrious, the wonderful, the beautiful Judge Janine on the show. And we're going to talk about her book. We'll spend about a half an hour. So if you have any questions, call in. If you don't, call in. And, I'll pick you up, put you on. The other thing is, I say, who else are we going to have? We'll just have Judge Janine on tomorrow. That's enough. I think she's a real firebrand, real pistol. The other thing is, it's been, we've talked about several things about the debate tonight. Watch the debate. Tell me what you think tomorrow. Go to my Twitter page, CL Butler 52. Leave a comment. Go to my Facebook page, Charles Butler Conservative. And certainly out here on the Reality Check at YouTube. So we'll pick up where we left off tomorrow when we come in and have Judge Janine doing her thing. Okay. I love it. I tell you. You can't make this stuff up, though. You can't make this stuff up. And tonight, we're going to have a real treat with Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris. Vice President Pence, I should say. Vice President Pence and Senator Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. And she'll be a formidable challenge for Mike, but I don't think she's going to pose much of a challenge because she didn't have a record. She's a liberal. She has the most liberal record out there. Hey, guys, on YouTube, I'm going to sign off here in a minute. And signing off, I'm sending them a message. I'm signing off. And head out. I tell you, man, it's always something. It's always something. But the debates are coming on about, I think, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. And that would be about 7 o'clock Mountain Time, which I think Utah is in. So they're going to be ready, and we'll be ready, and we're going to get it on. Oh, man, you can't make this stuff up. And it's going to be a very lively debate. And we're going to break it down for you on Thursday, along with Judge Janine Pirro. I love Judge Janine, so glad she's coming aboard. Anyway, thanks again, folks. And we will see you when? I don't know. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Take care.
2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that black boy over there running scared. His old man in a bottle. He done quit his 9 to 5. He drank full time. Now he's living in a bottle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm good. I have no idea. You may have to think. Hello?
Hey, Charles?
Yeah.